Okay, let's talk about trips and tracing. If you haven't already installed the app and configured it, please see the installation and configuration video to get yourself started. Why would you want to create a trip in the app? Creating a trip in the app is easy, it's easy to share, and it's easy to view. But perhaps the primary reason to create the trip in the app is that stats are going to be collected and transmitted to SpotWalla as your trip transpires. So all your locations and stats are going to be sent back to SpotWalla, and what that means is that those folks, those family and friends that you've shared the trip link with, will be able to see your real-time stats as well in the trip viewer. So whether or not it's a morning, afternoon, day, or multi-day trip, creating the trip in the app has some distinct advantages. Now, why wouldn't you want to create a trip in the app? Well, a lot of users already have long-running trips that they've shared with family and friends, and they're not interested in creating another trip for whatever reason, and that's totally fine. Creating a trip in the app is optional. To create a trip, you'll want to tap the New Trip button on the Control Options page. Very few bits of information are required, but we do need a trip name. So we'll just call this trip name. The start and end dates are going to default to your current time, and then the end date is going to be tomorrow at midnight. What we suggest is moving that end date out far enough to cover your entire trip. When you complete the trip later, and we'll go over that, we'll adjust that end time for you. But you don't want to create a trip in the app and then hit that end time, because that's the time at which, well, your trip is going to end and stats are no longer going to be created. And we suggest hitting that end date out there far enough to cover your entire trip. You can also choose to make this trip public, and all that means really is that anybody on the internet can go to the SpotWalla site, look at public trips, and find your trip in the list. So whether or not you share your trip with family and friends directly, or if you want the entire world to be able to find your trip, I mean, that's entirely up to you. But making it public will basically make it visible to anybody, anywhere, anytime. Depending on the trip, you may want to show your speed or not. And this doesn't affect the display and the stats that are shown in the app, but it does affect the stats that are shown in the trip viewer. So if you want to hide your speed or show your speed, check that switch accordingly. But when you're finished, just tap the Create button, and you'll wind up back at the control page. And now you'll see in the number 2 where your current trip is, the trip you just created. In this case, it's called trip name. Now, if you needed to edit that trip, as you're probably aware if you're familiar with SpotWalla, not all the options were on that page. So if you were to click the Edit Trip button, we'll pop you over to the website, and you can log in and then edit that trip. So you can add other devices, you can set your security options, you can go to your other options and select and change whatever you want to change here. That's entirely up to you. And then if you want to view the trip, you can click the View Trip button. And that's just going to take you over to SpotWalla and show you the trip viewer. You don't see anything on this trip yet because we're not moving. And if you wanted to share this trip with others, clicking the Share Trip button will take you to email with an email message pre-filled. It says, hey, follow me on SpotWalla for the subject. And then there's a bit of text saying, hello, if you want to follow me on my trip name. And that'll be your real trip name, to click this link. You can modify that message in any way, shape, or form you choose. You'll select the recipients and click the send button, and the trip will be shared. The next step is, well, you need to get moving. But before you get moving, you need to turn tracing on. You need to turn on tracing explicitly yourself. And once you turn on tracing, get moving. The app will not record your location unless you're going somewhere. But once you do get moving, if you click on the View Live Stats and Location button, you'll see the live stats at the top, your current speed, your elevation, your direction of travel. Those will start appearing in real time. And then the stats below that, like max speed and average speed, your elevation and gains, the distance and the number of buffered locations will start appearing. Below those stats, you'll see the duration of your trip in days, hours, minutes, and seconds. Now, if you define a trip and you're on this live stats and location page, you can reset your max speed using that reset max speed button. But you can't reset all your stats. And basically that's because you've created a trip. We're collecting stats in real time and transmitting them to SpotWalla so that everybody can see them. We're simply not going to allow you to reset those at this time. Now, if you didn't create a trip and you turned on tracing and you came to this live stats and location page, that reset stats button will be enabled. You can reset them at any time because we're not recording them and transmitting them to SpotWalla. We're just recording them and showing them to you. When your trip is over, you'll want to tap that complete trip button. And all that's going to do is complete the trip on the phone, and it's going to update the end date of that trip in SpotWalla. We'll no longer collect any stats. They won't be transmitted to SpotWalla any longer. And now your trip is over. If you have any questions about any of this, let us know. Thank you.